When the 2016 election came along, I didn't want to vote for either Trump or Hillary. I just didn't like either of them, honestly. But for one, I knew what Hillary was like, so I wasn't going to vote for the first female president to be someone who's corrupt. Now, for someone, let's say like Tulsi Gabbard, or someone who at least has some sort of principle per se, and you might disagree on that as well. But I'm pretty sure we can all agree, whether liberals or conservatives, that Hillary Clinton shouldn't have gotten the privilege of being the first woman to be the president of the United States. She doesn't deserve it. If anything, it should be someone who really does deserve it. But maybe this time, maybe in 2020, maybe you won't get that either, because a lot of the people on the left, especially when it comes to Democrats in 2020, they don't look very deserving of the presidency. At least some of them don't. Okay, but again, the point of the presidency is supposed to be someone that you're able to defend the people of your country, not just your side, but the entire country. Hillary Clinton, she had a history of corruption, therefore I didn't vote for her. When it came to Trump, my idea was that whether I liked him or not, I didn't like him personally. I didn't like him on a personal level, because I think that to some degree the president needs to have some sort of professional image. He needs to behave like a president. Trump doesn't behave like a president. But what I've noticed is that it serves him to his favor, because he talks like the regular individuals. He doesn't talk like a politician. Whenever someone asks him something, he gives you a straight, blunt answer. He doesn't try to give you with all those fancy word salads like AOC or Barack Obama or George Bush. None of that. He'll tell you no, no, or no. He'll tell you yes sometimes too. If he thinks you're saying something stupid, he'll call you out on it as well. Other politicians are going to be like, well, as much as I disagree with my opponent, my ideas are better. If Trump will be like this, you're wrong, no, you're an idiot, and you do not, and you are a pizza face. You know what I mean? Obviously, he doesn't say those things, but you get the point. Right? Trump calls out the nonsense when he sees it, and that's why a lot of people, I've started seeing it works to his favor, because a lot of us talk that way as well. When we see when our friends are telling us something dumb, or we think that something's dumb, we don't say, well, I acknowledge your side, but you got to look at it from my perspective. No, we say, dude, that's a dumb idea. That's what Trump does, and I think that's what served him to his favor, and that makes me wonder. That's probably why he won. Again, I didn't vote for him because, again, I wanted my president to behave in a very professional manner. But I can see why some people are starting to like this. At the same time, when a president starts to at least show some dedication to fulfilling something that they literally promised during the election season, during their campaigns, I have to respect that. And usually I do. Because how many presidents have said that they're going to do this, or they're going to do this, or they're going to do that, and they never do it? I mean, Obama said we're going to have, government health care. But the problem with Obamacare was that he was literally putting an individual mandate, meaning that if you do not have health care, either Obamacare or your own private health care, you're going to get fined anyway. So pretty much the government was telling you, you have to have this service, you have to pay for it even though you don't want to pay for it, and if not, the government's going to come in and take your money anyway. That's what a lot of people are having problems with. That's why under the Trump administration, I was happy that I could have my own either health insurance, I could have the option to either have health insurance or not. And if I didn't, I wouldn't have to. The government wouldn't take money out of my taxes, or I wouldn't have to pay a fine if I didn't want it. That's why a lot of people are happy that Donald Trump, under Trump's administration, he was able to at least get rid of the individual mandate that a lot of Americans didn't like about Obamacare. Now, Obamacare is still there. It's still there. But the individual mandate is no longer there, meaning that if you do not have health insurance this year by the end of this tax season, you're not gonna have to pay a fine. Because that individual mandate was deemed unconstitutional. So you have to give it to Trump. Whether or not you like him or not, you have to acknowledge that he's done some things in this administration that some people might like, others might not like. But the commitment of this individual, of Donald Trump, to literally try to build up the wall, I have to give him credit for that. No other president would have been this committed. And some degree other presidents say, well, we're going to do this, and then the moment the first sign of opposition, all they say is like, well, we tried. I acknowledge that we tried to do this, but we tried, and they say no, and they just give up. Trump has been told no. So what does Trump do? He finds other legal ways to get the wall built up. They say, well, Congress isn't going to give me money, so as the president, my job is to secure our borders. Our job is to make sure that our country is safe, both abroad and domestic. So since technically I am the commander-in-chief of the military, and I can also, it's my responsibility to protect our country. Technically, I can take money from the military and transfer it to border security. The courts said, yes, he can do that because that's part of his job. And again, I have to give him that. because he's thinking outside the box. He's thinking all these things, and I'm thinking, wow, this guy's really committed. Whether or not you like the wall, that's up to you. And I'm not going to tell you what the wall's whether good or not. But you have to at least acknowledge this guy's committed. He promised the wall, and he's doing everything he can through the legal channels to make this wall happen. So this article's from Fox News, and it reads, first construction of brand new border wall in Texas begins. Construction of new border wall in Texas, where none previously existed, has begun alongside the Rio Grande River. U.S. Customs and Border Protection, CBP, confirmed to Fox News on Friday. While 75 miles of wall has already been built under the Trump administration, under now all those structures replace existing ones such as vehicle barriers or dilapidated fences, which were ineffective before being replaced, according to the agency. The brand new wall is under construction southeast of McAllen in Texas' Rio Grande Valley sector, which sees the most illegal crossings of any border sector, with more than 325,000 people apprehended through August this year, according to CBP. Rio Grande Valley is by far our busiest sector, so getting this new wall system capability down there for the agents is truly a game changer, a CBP spokesman said. Just last week, the agents on the front lines told us that the wall is something they need. The spokesman said that 75 miles already built 75 miles already built to replace weaker structures also help tighten security. People can walk through or across a vehicle barrier with drugs or other contraband, but can't walk through an 18 to 30-foot wall with anti-climb features, sensors, and cameras, a spokesman said. The announcement comes as the Trump administration is making a renewed effort to show voters that the U.S.-Mexico border wall remains a top priority. Critics on the right have pushed back in recent months, saying border construction touted by the administration only represents replacement wall in areas that already had existing barriers and fencing. Now, wall advocates are excited that the project is advancing and note that illegal crossings are falling dramatically from summer peaks, in part due to Mexico stepping up enforcement on its borders and its part thanks to renovated wall sections. And that is true as well. The Mexican government it's also fed up with this. The people in Mexico, if you've gone to Mexico, if you haven't gone to like the tourist spots, like the rich parts, if you've gone to like places like Sinaloa or Sonora, which are some states in Mexico, if you see that, you can see that people in Mexico do not have the lives that we have here. The government is corrupt to some degree. It's literally run by cartels. And they cannot support their own people. So common sense, why are they going to support people that are trying to cross into the country of Mexico illegally? You see, the media will tell us that defending our borders is racist. But when Mexico is doing the same thing right now, why aren't they saying anything about it? Because Mexicans can't be racist, because only white people can be racist, and that is the problem. That the left wants you to believe defending your borders is racist, when in reality it's not. It's common sense. Mexico has started to step up, and you know what? It started seeing a decrease in border crossings, and ever since Mexico decided to say, you know what? Our people come first. Just like Trump is saying, our people come first. Kind of like a regular family, right? Your family comes first. You might have brothers, you might have sisters, right? If you have a wife and children, those individuals will come first. Sure, you might have a sister or a brother or a mom or a dad, but right now, your family is your spouse and your children. That's your priority. And if you cannot feed them, if you cannot provide for them, how can you provide for other people? It's common sense. But again, I gotta give it to the guy. The guy is very committed. I didn't vote for him in 2016, but based on the options that I have for 2020 when it comes to Democrats, hence this little hat, a blue hat. I don't like the red one, but I mean I prefer the blue one because it actually goes with the clothes that I wear. But the point is, this guy is winning me over. I was a never Trumper. I was like, you know what, never Trump. I'm not gonna vote for this dude. This guy's a psycho. But then I realized, hey, maybe the media was lying to me. And after the recent instances where the media has actually been posting a lot of false articles, and not to mention they've been redacted, I'm losing faith in stations like CNN, MSNBC, and all these other news stations where say, oh yeah, Trump, orange man, bad. So, the fact that a lot of people that said never Trump are trying to consider him as an option and say, hey, you know what? This guy's doing some good things. Meanwhile, the Democrats, all they're doing is screw Trump, orange man, bad. There's no policy there. And there isn't. So what? Are we going to vote for someone just because we hate the guy? Or we're going to vote for the guy, even though we hate him, at least he's doing something good. Like I said, border security is important. But anyways, let's keep going. Customs and Border Patrol said that about 100 miles of wall are ultimately expected to go up in the Rio Grande Valley sector. The new work is part of additional planned construction. A CBP document showed that contracts have already been awarded for the construction of 79 miles of new wall in areas where no fences exist currently. A CBP document showed maps of where the new wall is likely to be built. By the end of 2020, the agency aims to have completed 141 miles of brand new wall, along with 273 miles of replacement wall, for a total of more than 400 miles of border barriers. The funding for the project in Texas comes from congressional appropriations and is separate from construction funding authorized via an emergency order by President Trump. Border Protection estimated that each mile of wall costs $17 million. That's a lot of money. There are advocacy groups that oppose new wall construction. Some of the opponents do so on environmental grounds, which, yeah, it can be. Again, that's one thing. I'll continue, and then I'll give you what happened. So I'll tell you what my grandfather said when he came to visit us for a couple of days. So I'm gonna read the little paragraph, and after that, I'm gonna tell you what happened. So some of the opponents do so on environmental grounds, writing that walls block animals from crossing the border, and that the barriers could trap animals between the Rio Grande and the wall in the event of a flood. Almost up right there. I remember. This is a good point though, because I remember when my grandfather was coming here to visit, we were talking about the border wall, and he told me, it was like, well, what about the animals in that area? When you build a wall, you're basically separating them. So what if, for example, you are, let's say, you're a deer. Let's say, not even a deer. Deer don't even exist in the desert. Let's say you're let's say a coyote, right? A coyote. And you're trying to get water. Or you're trying to find like a little part that actually has some water. And next thing you know, the wall comes up. And now you're on the side that doesn't have the water. So yeah, I do believe that it could have a negative effect on the environment. But I think there can also be some modifications for that. Like I said, you can make some modifications for the animals to cross. But again, that is a legitimate concern. My grandfather brought it up, and I said, you know what? You do make a good point. But let's keep going. Others said a wall supports an intolerant immigration system. No, it doesn't. No, it does not. Defending your borders is not a racist thing. If you really believe that walls are racist, I tell you this right now. If you're watching this video and you believe we should have open borders or we shouldn't have the wall, every time you leave the house, I want you to leave the door without the lock, without lock. Leave the door unlocked. I'm pretty sure you wouldn't. Why? Because you want to protect the people that are inside your house. That's what the border wall is for. Protect the people that are inside of the country currently. It's not a racist thing to do. But anyways, let's keep going. We adamantly reject this move by the Republican House leadership to hand over more than $1 billion in taxpayer money for a monument to intolerance, said Unidos US, a Latino nonprofit advocacy group. But Border Protection and others said a wall is crucial for giving America control over its borders. In the fiscal year of 2019, more than 800,000 people have been illegally apprehended while crossing American southern border, CBP said. Supporters of a tighter border control cheered the construction as the latest in a string of good news about strengthening border security. The apprehension numbers have been going down since the peak in May. Krikorian said illegal crossings hit new records this past summer, but by September had fallen below 2016 levels for that month, according to CBP. Mexico is doing a better job of stopping people, Krikorian said, also noting that the Trump administration has been closing the catch and release loophole by requiring asylum applicants to wait in Mexico while their cases are pending. And yeah, I have to recognize that. Trump literally told the president of Mexico, say, hey, you know what, dude? You need to get your act together. You really do. This is your country too. It's affecting your country too. Why aren't you stopping these people? And then the president says, you know what, you're right. So they're stopping illegal immigrants in Mexico too. So is the left going to say Mexico is racist because of it? I'm pretty sure they won't, and they won't tell us either, because that doesn't fit their narrative. Their narrative is America's racist, orange man bad, and if you want stronger border security, you're racist too. Mexico's doing the exact same thing. Stronger border security, stronger measures to prevent illegal immigrants from going into the country. So why isn't the media telling us that Mexico is racist? Because that goes against their narrative. They're pretending to fight for the Latino community or the Latinx community, according to progressives. And yet, when it comes to Mexico doing the exact same things that Trump is doing, except for building the wall, of course, they're not saying anything bad about Mexico. So that kind of shows that the media is just trying to make a narrative. So anyways, let's keep going. Mexico agreed to an arrangement to allow the U.S. to send foreign nationals to Mexico to wait after Trump said he would impose tariffs. Mexico also dramatically increased its own border protection, sending nearly 50,000 troops to its northern border to apprehend migrants before they crossed. Krikorian said that while he liked for even more wall to have gone up, he understands that lawsuits and land use rights have slowed the progress. And that concludes the article. But like I said, whether or not you like Trump, you have to acknowledge that this guy is committed. And I have to respect that. I respect someone who is committed. And this guy He's been told no countless times. You can't do this, Mr. President. You can't do this, Mr. President. And Trump has found every legal way to make sure that he's able to build the wall and literally fulfill his promise to the people who voted for him. Okay, he wants border security, and there's nothing bad about it. And I have to respect that. I really do, because a lot of presidents they build up all these promises and all these things, and yet when they don't fulfill them, they say, "Oh well, we tried." Trump says, "No, we're not going to give up. We're going to have that wall. It's going to be 100 feet tall and stuff like that." You get the point, right? You get the point. I at least got to respect the guy for this, because at least it shows he's committed. And people who are committed to something show the strongest amount of willpower and dedication. But let me know what you guys think about this. Do you guys think that the border wall is a good thing? Even though, do you guys like Trump? If not, do you still think that it's respectable that he's trying to fulfill his promises, like literally towards the end of his first term? That is, if he ends up getting a second term in 2020. But again, do you think that this is a respectful, not really a respectful act, but do you think that this type of act is worthy of respect because he's committed? If not, let me know why. If you like this video, hit the like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe and hit the notification button as well, that way you never miss an upload. And if you're a returning subscriber or you just barely subscribe right now, bookmark the page, because apparently some of my notifications are going directly to spam, and that means you're not going to get notified sometimes on regards on the newer uploads that I try to on the uploads that I try to do on a daily basis. Sometimes every 2 days, depending on how busy I am. But if you do not wish to subscribe or bookmark the page, I recommend you share the video. If you think this video is worthy of sharing, share it on social media with your friends, your family, anyone who might be interested on this type of content. And I very much appreciate it. That helps me bypass all the restrictions that YouTube imposes on independent political commentators such as myself. And hopefully you guys will be able to stick around for the next segment in regards to California and the power outages that are taking place in order to quote-unquote combat wildfires in the state, but apparently it's only making it worse. But again, that's for the next segment. You guys stick around for that. I'll see you guys in a little bit.